Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to look at Acts chapter 10, verses 1 through 48. So we got a lot of text here. This section is about Peter and Cornelius. Now, we've heard a little bit about Peter in Acts already. This is the same Peter, of course, who had followed Jesus, which we hear about in the Gospels, particularly in Luke. Remember, Acts is the sequel to the Gospel of Luke. Well, here we hear more about Peter. And in particular, we hear about a vision that Peter had. Peter was in the city of Joppa, staying at the home of this guy named Simon, who was a tanner. And Peter was praying. And while he was praying, he had this vision of this sheet coming down from heaven. And on the sheet were all of these different unclean animals. When he saw the sheet with these animals, he then heard a voice that said, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." And Peter said, "By no means, Lord, for nothing profane has ever entered my mouth." Then God said, "What God has deemed as clean, you must not call profane." This happened a few different times, and so Peter's worldview is getting really shaken here. Remember, Peter's a good Jew. He follows the dietary restrictions. He knows what he's supposed to eat and what he's not supposed to eat. And here he's getting a vision from God telling him to eat unclean animals. And it doesn't make sense to him. But this moment for Peter is a big turning point for him. In the previous video, I talked about Saul's dramatic encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus, this blinding light, this vision, this moment that completely changed his life. Here, for Peter, I think this moment is kind of like that for Peter. Because Peter's trying to figure out what this means. What does this sheet with all these animals on it mean? And why is he supposed to eat what he knows is wrong to eat? Well, he thinks about it, he prays about it. At the same time that he has this vision, God sent a vision to this guy named Cornelius, who was a Roman. He was a Gentile. Gentile simply means not Jewish. And in this vision, God told Cornelius to send for Peter, who was in Joppa. So after Peter comes out of this vision, he encounters these guys who were sent by Cornelius to find him. So a lot of stuff is happening for Peter right now. He had this vision, he's encountering these people, and these people from Cornelius ask him to come to Cornelius' house. Now, Cornelius is a Gentile, remember? And at that time, Jews and Gentiles didn't really interact much with each other. At this point, though, it starts to click for Peter. And he realizes that this vision isn't about his diet. It's about associating with Gentiles. And he remembers the line from the vision, right? Don't call unclean what God has made clean. Throughout Acts, we hear about Gentiles receiving the Holy Spirit too. It's not just Jews. And so Peter is realizing that this vision is telling him that it's okay for him to associate with Gentiles. And it's okay for him to tell them about Jesus. And so he does. He goes to Cornelius' house. Cornelius welcomes him and says, "I had this vision to send for you to listen to what you had to say." And then what Peter tells Cornelius and his family is all about Jesus. This story is really important for us because it kind of makes us think about who do we normally say, no, I don't want to associate with them. That's what Peter's vision was about. Get up, Peter, kill and eat. Do not call profane what God has said is clean. God is calling all of us to share the good news of Jesus with everyone. In our society, there are so many ways that we draw lines between each other, between ourselves and others, right? I'm okay talking about Jesus with my little group, with a group who's like me, but not those people. But God calls us to share the good news with everyone, not just the people who are like us. This is what changed Peter's mind, and this is what is supposed to change our mind. it's not just about us and our little group. It's about sharing the good news of Jesus with everyone. That was a challenge for Peter, and sometimes it's a challenge for us. But this is how the news spreads, by sharing it with everybody. So think about who might be that person or that group for you, and then think about how God is calling you to share the good news with them too. There's your 5-minute Bible study. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.